Okay, welcome back everyone. Dr. Lindner. We're going to be looking at different types of skeletal muscle fibers. Um, some of these are called slow fibers, some of these are fast fibers. So when we look at the fast fibers contract very quickly. The reason why they contract very quickly is they are large diameter, there's large glycogen reserves, and they have very few mitochondria, which means they contract very quickly, but they also fatigue very quickly. So these are good for very strong contraction, as if you are doing a power lift, right? Where you need a very fast contraction, but they fatigue easily. So these are fast fibers. Your eye muscles, for example, they have fast fibers. They can move and contract quickly, but if you read for long periods of time, your eyes fatigue and they get tired. Slow fibers, on the other hand, these are slow to contract, but they're also slow to fatigue. The reason why they don't fatigue out as quickly is you have more mitochondria associated with the slower fibers. And they also have higher oxygen supply. Slow fibers are sometimes called red fibers. Red because they have more blood supply, more oxygen, more myoglobin. Again, they fatigue slower. So these are like your endurance muscles, okay? Your postural muscles are very slow to fatigue, right? Your calf muscles don't fatigue very easily. You can stand for hours at a given time. So the white fibers, let's say we're looking at white meat versus dark meat, okay? The white meat on chicken or turkey is the chicken breast. That's because you don't see turkeys and chickens flying in the air. They use their feet and their legs to move around, which is why the thighs and the legs are the dark meat. So the white muscles, those are the fast fibers. They contract quickly, but they fatigue easily. The red muscles, these are dark fibers due to the myoglobin, lots of oxygen, lots of mitochondria. That's the dark. So you look at the chicken legs, they don't fatigue easily. Okay, that's the difference between the white meat and the dark meat during Thanksgiving time. The legs, those muscles are being used a lot. Those are the red muscles. Also more nutrients, more cholesterol, more B vitamins, healthier as a result of all the nutrients being there. When we look at slow fibers, they don't fatigue very easily. These are like your calf muscles, your postural muscles. The fast fibers, which do fatigue easily, these are going to be the eye muscles. That's why everyone gets tired. They read at bedtime and then they get tired to sleep. As we um, get older, a few things can happen with muscles. Muscles can atrophy as a result of age and lack of usage, but they can also hypertrophy with exercise, meaning with proper exercise and proper nutrition, muscles can grow from training and heavy training. You get an increase in the number of fibers, you get an increase in the number of diameter. Whenever you exercise, you go through something called mitochondrial biogenesis. You increase the number of mitochondria, so you have more energy and more fuel. And the more mitochondria you produce, the more fat centers that can be burned for energy. That's why exercise is great for body composition and burning up fat cells for fuel. When muscles aren't being used, they atrophy. That's the lack of muscle activity. You reduce the muscle size, the tone, you reduce your power, and mitochondria start to decrease. Between the ages of 30 and 50, about 10% of muscle tissue is replaced by fibrous connective tissue and fat. And then between the ages of 50 and 80, another 40% of muscle tissue can be replaced. So what ends up happening very commonly when people don't take good care of themselves, the muscle strength and flexibility can decrease, their reflexes slow down, and the slow oxidative fiber numbers start to increase. This is when people start honking at the car when their reflexes are slow and the light turns and they're not moving and they're driving slower. we need to have more patience with the elderly behind the wheel. When I examine my patients and I shake their hand, I always turn their hand over. I look at the nail color, right? We spoke about that when we did the integument, but I also look between the metacarpals to see if there's wasting of muscles here. This is called sarcopenia. So sarcopenia, you see the word sarcomere, they start to break down, and you see we start to get atrophy of the muscles between here. I call it the hills and valley effect, where you have a hill and you get a depression of valley, then you get another hill and then another valley, and then another hill and another valley. So when you start to see that type of atrophy, it means the person isn't consuming enough protein, or they are consuming protein, they just don't have enough stomach enzymes, digestive enzymes, to break them down. And that's an issue. It's not just always increase your protein, is making sure they have enough digestive enzymes to break down the protein so that they have the building blocks of amino acids. And one of the tools that I use to measure hand strength is a dynamometer. And when they squeeze this, this needle here moves, and there's a second needle that creates the marker, so that when they release their hand, I can read how many pounds of crushing force they have with their right hand and left hand. And hand strength is very, very important. The other thing that's equally as important is quadricep strength for their balance. I always observe my patients, especially the elderly, when they're in a waiting room chair. Can they stand up on their own without pushing on the armrests? If they need to use their hands to push up on the armrests, this is not an independent individual. They need to be able to get off a toilet by themselves using the strength of their legs, not using their hands. So I watch them get up, make sure that they can get up without accessory use of their hands on the handrest of a chair. I have them walk 10 steps, and then I watch them turn around and walk back to me. They should be able to spin smoothly and turn around. Okay? If they have trouble doing that, then we start working on their balance and their coordination, and we work on their quadricep strength, because when the quads are weak, their balance is weak. So we work on two things: stimulating the cerebellum, which is their balance center, and then building up their strength, sitting and standing, sitting and standing, sitting and standing, and that's called a squat, okay, without additional weight.